Thank you very much for joining me on Times Now, Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, Union Petroleum Natural Gas Minister. Mr. Hardeep Puri, we are speaking on the occasion of the Prime Minister's 75th birthday. You've been somebody who has watched him, studied him for long. A man who's never been a minister. He was a Pracharak and straight Chief Minister and the Prime Minister. How do you see this man in terms of his political, inclinations and just the man that he is, Narendra Modi?
Navika ji, thank you very much. I feel uniquely privileged. Uniquely privileged because I've had a good fortune of being a member of his team for the last 8 years. 8 years I completed in a few days ago. But before that, I had the privilege of knowing him also when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. But more than that, I also had the privilege of knowing him before he became Chief Minister. So that the journey that you describe from Pracharak to Prime Minister, it's a journey which is in so many respects unique. It's one of a kind. And you know, today is his 75th birthday, but it also happens to be Vishwakarma Divas. No, so there is a remarkable coincidence. What does Modi, the political personality, involve? One, total commitment and dedication to what he does, what he did in his early life, left home very early to seek larger meaning. Not left home in order to gallivant, to enjoy life in the way it is normally associated with youngsters who want to leave home. Then he worked for the public good. He worked for social causes. And then he assumed the mantle of being Chief Minister. He was the first Prime Minister of India who, on becoming Prime Minister, brought with him hands-on experience. And that translates into what you see today in terms of the decisive guidance, inspiration, first inspiration and guidance that he's providing in order to take the nation from a $2 trillion to a $4 trillion economy today, and the path of Atmanirbharta to become a Viksit Desh by 2047. So, I mean, I have now worked with a lot of people. I've worked with many prime ministers in India as a civil servant. I've seen them. When I was a senior civil servant, I worked with heads of state and government outside. But truly, the kind of dedication and value system he brings, somebody who's given meaning to good governance, it means good politics. And good politics means good governance. And somebody who does the politics anchored in ethics. Today you don't come across this vocabulary of 2G, CWG, XYZ alphabet of corruption. What you see around is a very confident nation led by a person with a clear path. And I think on his 75th birthday, what will stand out both within the nation and outside is that confidence that he's leading us on to bigger and better things even from now.
So, Mr. Hardeep Puri, you said you worked with many heads of states in the past as a civil servant and now with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. To your mind, what is the big difference that you've seen? Because this is a man, and we're calling him Jan Ka Modi because to me that's what he embodies. He's a little bit of everybody's elder. The elders look at him as a son, as a family member. What is it that you see different in terms of the way his mind is wired? Does he work from his mind only? Is there a heart and a very gentle touch there? How do you describe him in comparison to other decision makers in the past?
No, there is no, I think, normally at the best of time, comparisons are odious. You can't compare one against the other. What happens is, in his case, is that if you want to talk about qualities of the heart, the very fact that he ensures that at the time of the pandemic, 800 million, Navika, I want to underline, 800 million people started receiving and are still receiving 3 meals of dry ration in a day. That is compassion. That is large-heartedness. And, you know, the previous government had destroyed the vaccine manufacturing capacity in the public sector between 2010 and 14. And yet, we resurrected it in the private sector. And what happens? You made 230 crore vaccine doses and distributed them almost free to people in India and also to 150 other countries in the world. Now that is qualities of compassion. But look at where the mind is. He is always setting targets which are not tomorrow and day after. He is setting targets which are 3 years, 5 years, 25 years. When was that Viksit Bharat target given? And, you know, when he started talking about a $5 trillion economy, a lot of my cynical friends said, yaar, ye kya hai? 5 trillion kaise hoge? Today, nobody's questioning the 5 trillion. You're already at 4.3. You're looking at 7 trillion and 10 trillion. And you're looking at Viksit Bharat. And some of the cynics will say, Arey bhai, if you don't grow at 8%, Arey bhai, last quarter you grew at 7.8%. Previous quarter, 7.4%. Now, even if you don't maintain that, even if you grow at 7%, all this nonsensical talk about middle income trap, etc., it's neither here nor there. You are firmly on the growth to becoming a Viksit Bharat. The GDP is rising, the per capita figures will rise, and the comfort level given to the common, I'm not talking about the arithmetics of the figures, 4 crore Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. The title of each house is in house is in the name of the a lady member of the house. You're building another 3 crore. 10 crore, 30 lakh Ujjwala connection. You know, when he took over in 2014, there were only 14 crore connection. Today we have 33 crore connections. And if one connection is given to one family, which has 4 people, you've saturated the entire population. And out of the Ujjwala connections of the 10 crore, 30 lakh, 80% are in rural areas. Today we are in the happy situation, 22,500 kilometers. So economic progress, social inclusion, financial inclusion. I think the fact is that these figures speak for themselves, but the man at the helm of affairs is one who is, you talked about wiring of the mind, whether there's global turbulence, whether there's internal challenges, whether it was a pandemic, look where we are. We have braved those. And in the process, we have discovered the hidden depth of our own potential, which is being unleashed and realized as we go along.
Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, you've been somebody who's seen him in the last few days in Varanasi. You know, you were with the Prime Minister, you were in Assam with him, you're going to be with him in other places. Do you think this milestone kind of sinks in with him, or is he somebody who doesn't look at age as a number on the board? It is, you know, in continuum that his work goes on. From the time he stepped into real politics in 2001 in very difficult situation in Gujarat till today.
Well, look, I mentioned Navika ji right at the outset that I've had the privilege of knowing him before he became Chief Minister. And I've known him as an individual, somebody we deeply respected even then. I had the privilege of hosting him in Geneva when I was permanent representative, I think in the year 2003. I've seen him evolve. I've seen him now. I have the privilege of meeting him on every Wednesday morning. And I can tell you, the last meeting I had with the Honorable Prime Minister, I was with the delegates, other people, they all came out and saying, my God, look at him, he's full of ideas. I mean, you know, age is just a number is one part to look at it. But it's not just a number. It seems to be, you know, getting better and better. I mean, anybody who can, you know, quietly crack a joke, sometimes at his own expense. I mean, it shows the largeness of where he is going, etc. And I think that as we celebrate his 75th birthday, from my point of view, you know, I'm a small member of his team. I'm only having an ardas done in 3 of the Gurdwara Sahibs with which I'm associated. 3, actually it's 5, in Delhi, in Patna Sahib, in in Kanpur and other places. We just pray for his long life and good health. Because I don't think before 2014, even those of us who knew him realized that this is the extent of the difference he can make. And now that difference is visible in empirical terms, in terms of the figures, in terms of the emotional change and the ability to weather, crises. I mean, when pandemic came on us, nobody had a clue as to what it meant. Some people had dealt with swine flu, some had dealt with Ebola. Nobody realized that this was something like the Spanish flu of 1918 when millions died. And yet, we weathered it. Today we came out stronger, both in terms of our pharmaceutical vaccine producing capacity. Even now, I keep saying, and I see him at close quarter, you look at what's happening with the global turbulence, and I think the best is to come. As I would like to say, picture abhi baki hai.
Picture abhi baki hai. But he's had some, yes, very turbulent times to look after. The Bhuj earthquake destruction in Gujarat, where he excelled in terms of the relief, rehabilitation, and then rebuilding. Then we've had, the COVID pandemic that you're talking about. There have been challenges that have come his way. Has he always seemed in control? Is there any anecdote that you can remember? Because administration could have been overwhelming at that time when there were oxygen shortages, when there were dead bodies, when there was lockdowns. Any anecdotes that you can recall, Mr. Hardeep Puri, which give us an insight into the man?
I can recall. I can recall many anecdotes, but I will just confine myself to one or two, if you permit. When the Bhuj earthquake came, I was posted in London, and the Swaminarayan temple in London mounted a massive rehabilitation effort. And when we talked back and saying where is it being organized, we saw a young chief minister in action. And I saw that action at front wide, because the people who were giving the relief, providing the relief, and who were organizing the logistics had such a sense of confidence. Something like 28,000 Indian students got trapped in the initial phases of the Russian-Ukraine military conflict. I was in Assam, I think in Guwahati somewhere. Late at night, I get a call on a no-caller identity. Now, these calls, I'm very clear. When I look at it, and somebody said, "Saab baat karenge." And he came on the line. He said, "मैं कल सुबह आपको I'm sending you into I did not know it was Hungary at that stage. I'm sending you there. आप आ जाइए." We reached back early morning next day, had a meeting, and all of us, the 5 of my colleagues and I, were on different flights together. By the way, there were students from other countries, many countries, who were also trapped in that military conflict. But India was the only country in the world which sent its cabinet ministers, mobilized its machinery, sent its airlines to evacuate. And by the way, in the process, we evacuated students from our neighboring countries, from Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. We even evacuated students from the United States of America. That rescue and relief operation. I'll tell you another one. There was a tsunami, I think, and there was some relief which has to be sent to different places. I remember the earthquake in Turkey. He was outside Delhi. Immediately on the telephone, he ordered the rescue and relief effort to be there. Planes full of supplies ended up there. I've got so many anecdotes. When there comes a challenge, there's a saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. But there's no betrayal on his face of any tension or anything like that. I remember an incident. I was sitting in the parliament. When I was summoned, he was there with 2 of his other colleagues. He said, this COVID is spreading beyond a point. We'll have to stop air operations for a while. And he was absolutely right, because the contagion was spreading at a level which nobody had any control. I think we had a reasonably good idea where it was coming from. But, when I told him, yes, we can do it, but I've got so many flights in the air, he said, you work out the logistics. 2 minutes, we got a decision. And one of his, real strengths, he's got strength of, character, strength of decision-making, ability to navigate crisis. But one great thing, if you take a problem to him, he will apply his mind, he will have his own research done, then he will sit down with you and tell you why he's taking a course of action. And if it's something serious, you come out of that meeting feeling My God, you cut through all the cobwebs and you've got a decision, and here we go. That is what is shaping the direction of this country.
Mr. Hardeep Puri, you know, I always ask you rapid fire questions in every interview. So I want to ask you a rapid fire now on the Prime Minister.
And I can never say no to you.
Yeah, and considering you're his very close soldier in his army, I want to ask you, what quality of the Prime Minister has most inspired you?
His strength of character, his moral compass, and his ability to take decisions. For me, this makes him stand out far above anyone else I worked with.
What is the one initiative by the Prime Minister that you think will change India completely in terms of where it is going? One thing you have to pick up. I know there are a zillion schemes, a zillion projects, but one that stands out for you.
No, I can tell you, you can list all the schemes that he has done post June 2015. You know, he assumed power in 2014. That is one packet. That is a package of schemes in which you got, you know, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, you got several other schemes, etc. That's one area. The second area is, listen, there were things which were unheard of. Article 370. You know, if you want the country to move ahead, you've got to integrate it. I think some of those decisions, it cannot be one. There are a series of them, standalone decisions, which make for absolute brilliant decision making. And the ability, you know, anyone can conceptualize something. I was sent, now that this book is out, I can share it with you. I mean, earlier I used to be reluctant to talk about it, the book on Article 370, but there is the section that I can read out. He sent me incognito sometime in the year 2016 in June and said, आप देख के आओ, वहाँ पे क्या स्थिति है, किसी को बताना नहीं कि आप कौन हो. मैंने कहा नहीं बताऊंगा, अगर किसी को पता भी लगे. I spent 4-5 days there. I wrote a report, and I'll tell you, I just read out to you one section of the report, which is captured in this. I mean, I'm surprised that people retained this and was able to do it. It says Hardeep Singh Puri's report to Prime Minister Modi. This is on page 370 of this thing, and I'll just read out. Hardeep Singh Puri spent 4 days in Jammu and Kashmir between 16th and 20th June. His report revealed the multifaceted nature of the Kashmir crisis. Puri highlighted the hostile influence of Pakistan and the receptive domestic constituency, which created a multi-layered challenge. At the heart of the issue, he identified a governance deficit marked by poor administration, rampant corruption, and confused policy making. Then I went on to say, Puri also, this is what the report says, Puri also suggested the barriers created by Article 370 be overcome so that developments could take place more easily. Navika, I never said in my report that you remove Article 370. I merely said the barriers created by 370 so that investment can come in, so that there is Kashmiris are made to feel like part of India. And lo and behold, I had no clue. I submitted the report in July of 2016. End up in August 2019, I'm sitting in Parliament and the bill is introduced in the Rajya Sabha just to do away with Article 370. This is what I call exemplary, godlike decision making. And look where it is from a time when the industry in J&K was stone throwing to now all those houseboats are full, the hotels are full, the flights are full. That is what you say, what is what I call transformative. When you ask me the question of one big decision, I could have said 370. No, but 370 comes as an embellishment. It comes as the icing on the cake. To begin with, you've converted the economy from a 2 trillion one to a 4 trillion one, and you're now taking this in the direction of a Viksit Bharat in another 20 years from now. That is what leadership is all about.
Well, clearly, the man, the Prime Minister of this country, on this very landmark day, sets a new milestone, and he sets new milestones for everybody in the future generations with the strides that he makes. But Hardeep Singh Puri, thank you very much for joining us and giving us insights into the personality who is loved by the country, but who you've seen at close quarters. थैंक यू वेरी मच, बट बिफोर आई लेट यू गो आई जस्ट वांट टू टेल यू 5 जगह अगर अरदास हो रही
Thank you very
है
much.
तो थोड़ा सा कड़ा प्रसाद जरूर भिजवाइएगा। वाहिगुरु।
मैं आपके लिए कड़ा प्रसाद भिजवाऊंगा 5 जगह से जहां पे अरदास हो रही है। थैंक यू वेरी मच नविका जी।
Thank you very much.
थैंक यू।